Hello and welcome to Brodual. This time we have the warrior trees for Ordinator. If you have no idea what Ordinator is, it's a perk overhaul that we're covering in a 4-part series. For a more detailed look you can check out the introduction video and then our mage video if you're interested. We'll include links to those down below. First up, let's start with smithing, our favourite of the new trees. Smithing in Ordinator takes a much more proactive approach when compared to vanilla. Several of the new perks let you choose exactly how you want to build upon your smithing abilities. Whether it's choosing one material type over another to unlock it earlier, or whether you're choosing your specialisation. As one of the crafting trees you get a lot of options that you didn't in vanilla, and the choices you make will ultimately shape the type of smith you are. You can build an advanced workbench that lets you upgrade items higher than before, and use it to harness your Dragonborn abilities, letting you sacrifice dragon souls and your dragon blood for various enhancements. On the other side of smithing you have Dwarven Autocannons. These are Dwemer support turrets that you can summon in battle to aid you. What's great is that the tree devotes several perks to the new cannons, and they get stronger and stronger the more you invest in the smithing tree. At first they'll only fire when you're nearby and for small damage. Then eventually they'll fire electromagnetic blasts, work from any distance, and you even get to summon 2 at a time. We really like the feature and we think it adds a huge incentive to the smithing tree. It also opens up a ton of playstyles and is just a super fun feature overall. Next up we have the one-handed and two-handed trees. We're covering these together because there are key similarities between the two. The mod adds directional perks that change the effect each type of power attack has. The idea behind this is that if you're standing still and you swing, it's going to have less impact than if you were charging at an enemy swinging. The effects are actually more detailed than you might expect. For example, when using a two-handed sword, a forward power attack might cause enemies to flee in fear, while a sideways power attack will injure the target's ability to attack, reducing their damage as a result. The directional perks cover swinging while standing still and moving forwards, backwards or sideways. And generally the effects will make sense for the weapon type. The effects are built on throughout each tree, with each weapon type, including daggers, having about 5 perks that focus entirely on power attacks. The effect this has on gameplay is pretty big and it requires much more to be skilled in melee combat. You can still just swing blindly, but a player who fully understands how his weapon works and exactly what his swings will do, will be exponentially more terrifying in battle. The rest of the one-handed tree comes with perks that enhance dual wielding and fast-paced gameplay. The quicker you are, the more buffs you'll receive, with stacking effects across several perks. There's also the chance to go into a mad frenzy when dual wielding, letting you deal massive amounts of damage in a flurry of attacks. The rest of the two-handed tree helps further differentiate it from one-handed combat and aims to make you feel more powerful. It achieves that with the addition of a bullet time effect that slows time and dramatically increases swing speed. Another perk also gives you a random chance to activate your equipped power when swinging, and finally you'll receive damage buffs after kill moves. The block tree mostly revolves around a new timed blocking feature. A timed block is where you stop an incoming attack within 1 second of raising your shield. Early on, a timed block will simply just block out more damage than normal. However, as you make your way through the tree you'll be rewarded for more skilled gameplay. Not only will your timed blocks boost your morale, causing increased damage for a short time, but about halfway through the tree you'll unlock a streak feature. This gives massive rewards if you complete 5 successful timed blocks in a short time. This can lead to violently disarming your enemies on a 5th successful timed block, to massively increasing your morale for huge boosts to attack speed and damage. Everything is about building momentum and keeping those time blocks up. You'll be repeatedly and exponentially buffed with stacking effects and it's really satisfying to hit those streaks in a tough battle. Apart from that, the block tree will now take your current form into account, and your ability to block and bash will depend on your current health and stamina. Power bashing with a shield also receives some buffs, and you can now send targets into a rage, causing them to expend all of their stamina and never flee from battle. Overall you can still block and receive the same benefits as vanilla, but now you'll be rewarded for skilled gameplay. The new heavy armor tree puts emphasis on being a tank and being the centre of attention in battle. For the most part the early perks are similar to vanilla, except you'll unlock the ability to wear one less piece of heavy armor and still receive the same buffs as if you were wearing a full set. However, later on in the tree several perks will encourage you to charge in and actually take damage. The new perks are all about bolstering the presence you have in battle. Simply charging in first will buff yourself and your allies while also weakening the enemy. Your aim in battle is to get all of the attention directed towards you, so you can mitigate and reflect incoming damage. There's also a revenge perk that lets you deal huge amounts of damage to anyone that hits you with a power attack. Another approach you can take is to simply just walk towards the enemy. Your lack of fear and towering presence might just cause them to flee. So overall the heavy armor tree is simple, but the new perks really help separate heavy armor from the rest. And finally we come to Archery. We already covered the gist of Archery in the introduction video. However, to kickstart your memories, Archery now rewards skilled gameplay similar to the new blocking and melee trees. The mod covers most styles of play with bows and crossbows, so you can be super close to make use of movement and attack speed buffs, or you can be long distance to make use of the increased damage to snipe targets. However, the buffs you receive mostly rely on accuracy, so the more accurate you are, the more buffs you receive. Other perks enhance bashing with a bow and weapon juggling. If enemies get too close in vanilla, you might as well just run a bit further back and then fire again. But in Ordinator you're actually encouraged to bash and then switch weapons with increased damage to staggered targets. And finally, your inner scout is unlocked with a perk that randomly highlights nearby targets, which also dramatically lowers their armor. All in all, the warrior trees have a lot of new features to offer, with particular emphasis on skilled gameplay. The cannons are amazing, the huge amount of choice in smithing is a big plus, and the new level of depth to melee combat is interesting to say the least. So if you're interested in giving it a go, you can find everything you need down below. As always, be sure to leave endorsements on any mod you enjoy. And just before we wrap up today's spotlight, we'd like to thank WeMesh for sponsoring this episode. WeMesh is a video watching app that lets you share and watch videos with friends in perfect sync. You can be anywhere in the world and the app just syncs it perfectly. You can even chat via voice or text while watching too. To get it today, you can find a link in the description or just search for WeMesh on your app store. And be sure to check out g2a.com for some cheap games, and thanks for watching.